So what would you advise to CMOs who are emerging right now in the consumer side? What should they really look for? Like, suppose I'm the CMO of P&G or a brand or maybe a company that you're not working for right now that you signed an NDA with. I see some
Well,
hesitation in your face when I say P&G.
I would think now. First of all, a company like P&G has a family of brands.
Yeah.
P&G is not the important brand; it's the sub brands that are truly important. And I would say, for example, in the case of Tide laundry detergent, which is the number one laundry detergent in the U.S., they've done a very good job of staying up to date with the upcoming generation. And they maintain the same brand values of trust, wholesomeness, cleanliness, purity that they had 50 years ago. But they've rephrased that for a current generation. Now, this brings up one other thought, and I know that this is particular to the U.S. and Western Europe, but we have had a tendency over the past several decades of being youth obsessed. And the youth obsession is because we want to create a relationship with you when you're young so that as you age, you remain loyal. Well, people don't remain all that loyal. And the real money, especially in the U.S. and Europe, is with people who are over 50. They have had their careers, they've saved their money, they've at the height of their earning capability, and yet most advertising is directed to young people who are so busy online and with their lives that they don't have time to pay much attention to advertising, and B, don't have the financial resources of the older cohort. So if I were a brand manager, I try to think of, because also youth is influenced by older people. It's not just the, one-way street that, maybe in fashion, if younger people say something is cool, then older people have to say, oh, yeah, that's really cool. But often when it comes to other areas, cooking, cleaning, saving, investing, younger people may look to their parents,
Elders, yeah.
their elders, as kind of the way to go. And I think that is something that in most of the West we kind of missed in several ways. And that family integration can be a very powerful factor in moving a brand forward.
Definitely,
So,
but like I've sat in quite a few briefs in my life, so people would say that we're focusing on youth-oriented marketing, even though our target audience is middle-aged, but we're hoping that that middle-aged person hits his midlife crisis a bit earlier than usual and goes back and sees this brand is associated with being a youth brand, so I think I'm gonna consume it, or I'm gonna be seen with it, same as the Apple appeal. Creative, you think you're creative or you are creative. So that's something we see quite often, but I get your point. It is a pretty big divide. So like if we're on the agency side, how should we deal with our clients better in this particular space? What would you advise to the agency and the development side in this particular area, that you need to look at every aspect of the experience and not just your core function?
well, yeah, of course. I mean, I think you have to look at the overall relationship. And one of the things that is very easy to forget about, especially when you're doing experiential tactics, when you're doing a website, when you're designing interactions, like there's probably an IKEA way of approaching route design versus a Raymore and Flanagan. I mean, name another brand. A Stickley way of looking at it. So I think having the overall brand map of saying, okay, now what do we stand for? What's off-brand? What's on-brand? There, because sometimes you come across something that's like, this would be so cool to do. We would get so much attention, but what if it's off-brand?
Yeah.
What if it pushes the brand long term in the wrong direction?
Yeah.
So I think often understanding what not to do is every bit as important as understanding what to do.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
is actually something that we
yeah,
feel Facebook is actually facing right now. Since they went public, a lot of their policy with the advertisers and a lot of their policy with the obviously with end user has changed quite a bit. They've had a huge drop off in most of northern Asia. Quite a few people have switched, not necessarily switched, but they've deactivated their accounts. They're not as active as they used to be. Twitter's become their go-to place for enjoyment and the like you mentioned earlier, the kittens and all that. They get their fluffy content consumption from there, and everything else is LinkedIn, Zing, or Pinterest is pretty big in that part of the world. So yeah, that is something that we're seeing quite a bit. They're not looking at the entire reason the person came on the platform first. They're just pushing the brand on the platform because there's this idea. It varies from place to place, but there's this idea that when a person is on a certain social media platform, they go on it with a certain mindset. So if I go on LinkedIn, I'm in no interest, I'm in no mood to talk to someone about my personal matters. And if I'm on Facebook, I have no interest of talking about what how was my work day, how many sales I generated. I'm no interest of getting pitches from various partner agencies. So that's something that Facebook has lost out on. They try to be everything of everything at once, which is why they've got a pretty much big drop off. And on top of that, most people who've launched their brands on Facebook, who rely on Facebook as a platform for promoting or building brand awareness, they've seen that as they've gone public, their advertising rates have increased. The awareness that you could attain at one point in time, that has gone down a bit, and the justification they've given for quite a bit of that has been well, it's not. I'll put it this way: it's not believable. It's all the interest of greed, to put it bluntly. So yeah.
The Zuckerberg land the grab.
Yeah.
How is Google doing in Asia? I mean, aside from China.
It's really good. It is the go-to platform aside from Yahoo and MSN. MSN is still pretty big because the adoption. If you look at the we primarily deal with the United States, Middle East, Southeast Asia, and Asia Pacific. So we're seeing that while Gmail is considered to be the Apple of emails or email providers, people are still pretty much stuck to when they adopted to MSN or Yahoo. So as a result, you've got Bing that's pretty famous, and you've got MSN that's pretty famous as well, and Yahoo Search is still getting it, and people do get their international news from Yahoo News as well. So it's all that particular platform that people are circling around constantly. Is that if I'm already on Yahoo News, might as well do my search from here, might as well do my email from here as well. But as you know, Marissa Mayer recently implemented something at Yahoo which completely, I wouldn't say destroyed, but I would say they revamped the design on their Yahoo Mail, which upset quite a few people. And I'm assuming there's going to be some drop off as a result of that as well. The design is not applicable for people who are professionals.
A dead letter before Marissa came along, and seems to have been making a good comeback in the U.S. AOL, and by the way, the reason I have such an unhip address is because Apple licensed their email system from Steve Case in 1981.
All right.
Including the got mail and the talking voice, the inbox, outbox, graphical user interface, and so I think I've had the same email address since 1982. I don't think you'll come across many people who have an email address that's quite that ancient.
That gives you bragging rights. That's as loyal as it gets. 31 years with the same email address. I think I switched my email address 3 times in the past 10 years. Yeah.
Well, as you should, but I think they must have pretty good spam filters, because normally holding on to one address that long would make it unusable. right. Well, anyway, it's a pleasure meeting you, Barbara.
You too, sir.
And
Thank you very much for
I
taking the
hope
time.
that this is what you were looking for.
Yeah,
As I
definitely.
said, I'm hardly an expert on interactive social media. I've done a bit of it here and there. But I do think that getting back to kind of the fundamentals of branding will not change over time. Wherever we are with technology 100 years from today, I think there will still be brands that people like. And interestingly, there will be suites of brands. If you look at a given personality, you can almost tell, well, if he has this kind of watch, he probably has this kind of shoes, he probably buys this kind of clothing, he probably lives in this kind of place. You can pretty much tell if people build their own styles over time.
Yeah.
They figure out what they like, what fits with them. And if we forget about that, if we don't think about it, we've just got the best, cheapest computer there is.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily spell success.
True.
There are emotional parts to this that, as long as we remain human beings, will be important.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, and thank you for ending it on that note. Kent, again, thank you for taking out the time. We went a bit over on it, but this was very insightful. This is exactly what we were looking for. You are from the ATL side, but it does give a very strong idea to people on the BTL and on the digital side on what they need to keep in mind at the very least when they're coming up with their strategies. Keeping in mind the ROI aspect, it doesn't always have to be sales. It can also be reach, but more than anything, it has to be with the brand story that has been propagating for the years before digital. So thank you again, Steve, for your time, and hopefully we'll have another session in a few weeks.
All right. Best of luck to Ephlux and all of you.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Farewell for now. Bye.
Farewell.